Hi guys, and welcome to this video where I'm going to give you some tips for how to talk about your art. So I know this is something that can be kind of like anxiety provoking when somebody asks us what we make or to describe our work, or even if we're trying to create content online, sometimes we get a little stuck for what to even say about it. But it's really important that we do have a bit of a storyline around the things that we create because it gives so much context for what we're doing, and it also helps other people who already are attracted to the aesthetic of our work make a deeper connection with it. So the truth is if somebody's coming to your page or your website or they're drawn to you in person, they already feel a connection with what you're creating. They already see a bit of themselves in it. They already resonate with it. And when they're looking to dive deeper, whether that's by talking to you or reading your website or social media, they're trying to make more of a connection with it. They want to understand more. And so your job as the artist and as the person who's doing the writing or the communicating is to help them do that. So I'm going to give you some tips for ways to go about it. So the first thing is when you are, let's just say, writing about your art, because I think a lot of us in this online space are looking for ways to talk about things in writing. Tell the truth. Call it what it is. I see a lot of artists who want to make their work seem more valid by making their explanations for their work more complicated, more prestigious. Just like using floofy language to try and make it sound like we thought really hard about it and our work is really valuable. When in truth, that actually just takes away from the heart and soul that actually is within our work and the true meaning that probably is behind it. So when you're writing about your work, I just encourage you to simply ask yourself, like, what is this really to me? And why did I do this? And the more you can just call it what it is, the better your explanation is going to translate to the reader or the person listening. So that's number one, tell the truth. Number two is keep it simple. I mentioned this like 2 seconds ago, but you don't need to use all this like pretentious language. I know in the world of artist statement, that's a bit encouraged because they're supposed to sound academic. But the truth is like in the day-to-day world where your average person who just appreciates beauty wants to make a connection with your work, that kind of language is actually going to distance them. It's going to make your work feel exclusive or like it's not meant for them. So my advice is to actually go the other direction and make things really easy to understand, make it human. Because in my opinion, art is very, very human and it doesn't need to be this like fancy pants thing, even if it does cost a lot of money. This is not to say that your work isn't highly valuable, but it's mainly just to say that you should still help buyers make a connection with it. And then my last tip for talking about your art is when in doubt, rely on prompts. I love reading through books that give prompts for talking about your work. One of my favorites is called ArtWrite. And in that book, it's a book about artist statements, which is kind of an academic thing. But there's a lot of really simple prompts that are kind of along the lines of, what do you make? Like, what is it? Why did you make it? How did you make it? What materials did you use? Why did you choose to do it in this way? Why did you choose these colors? These are all like really, really simple things that help us get to the really true answers. So if you're looking for ways to tell stories about your work, whether it's like on social media or you're writing a bit about your work on your website, just ask yourself these really simple questions. And as you go through the answers, you'll start to see a storyline kind of develop. And there's probably a bigger one there than you even realized. So all that being said, I really encourage you to go through the work of telling the truth, like calling it what it is, learning how to keep it simple, and answering these really simple prompts, because that way when you're out and about in person and somebody asks for your card and they say like, oh, what do? You'll already have like a couple lines on the back of your head that are going to be truthful, that are going to help them make a connection with your work. And you can kind of avoid that awkward freeze moment where you're just like, I don't know, I'm kind of a painter or something. Like you can actually say something true about your work and you'll already know what that's going to be. So I hope that helps. I encourage you from the bottom of my heart to tell stories about your work, to talk about your work. because it makes things so much more engaging for the people who already love it, already sense a connection with it, and who want to maybe have it in their home or in their space. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will actually see you next week for the next IGTV.